What's good, boos? It's Sheen Boo, and you already know. You know who it is? It's Sheen Boo. It feels so good to say that. I miss you guys. We are just gonna cut the crap and get straight into the video. Um, Today, I'm going to be doing my makeup, and I'm going to talk to you about what marriage is really like. What the saints don't tell you. Okay, so I did a life update video, and I ended up archiving it. I didn't like the quality or whatever. But anyways, you guys should know by now I am going through a divorce. And I'm not in any way blaming the saints or the church or anything like that for my divorce. But I feel like this idea of marriage that is painted in a young girl's mind by way of the church is not realistic. And I'm going to tell you why. I can only speak to the type of marriage and the type of relationship that I entered into in the way that I was raised. I feel like even if you weren't raised in this lifestyle, you'll understand something. But if you were, you will understand it even greatly. Either way, this video is for everyone, saints and sinners alike. Really, we all both. Because even the saints make mistakes and sin and make bad choices, okay? So I'm just going to speak to being married in the church in general. If it's something specific to me, unless I say this is specific to me, do not assume. Unless I say in my personal experience or what I dealt with personally in a relationship, a situationship that I've been in. Okay? So I grew up in the Holiness Pentecostal Church, and I'm still a very proud member of the Holiness Pentecostal Church at large. I am a Christian. I am a believer. That is the only type of marriage that I know, which is the only type of marriage that I can speak to. So now that we got that out of the way. So when I got married, I was so happy. I felt like I just found my person. One thing I loved about my ex is what I seen him do. And it seemed like he had such a strong relationship with God. And it made him even more attractive because of his relationship with God. And if you were raised like me, then you know in the church, the primary thing is find you a man of God. Find a man of God, find a man of God, find a man of God. And one of my main points today is this. Now I'm speaking in general. I would encourage you to be more specific with your prayers than just finding a man of God, because God's got all type of children, okay? He's got all type of children. And it's led to believe in the church, in the Christian church, in the black Christian church specifically, that a man of God is just a cut above. And the idea of that I like, and I feel like it should be true. As a believer, as a man and woman of God, you should be a cut above because you're answering to a higher power. You're not operating under the influence of yourself. It's led to believe, it's believed that you're operating under God. God, man, woman, children. That is the order we believe in the body of Christ and in the church. Okay? So that's the way I was raised. I believe in submission, and I do believe in headship. Not submission to where the man say jump, you say how high, but submitting under him as the leader, as somebody who is talking to God about me and how to lead me and our child or children or such like. Okay? So I just want to be clear on this. Just because you have a man of God, it does not excuse you from divorce. It does not excuse you from being cheated on. It does not excuse you from abuse. It does not excuse you from anything that anybody outside of the faith will go through. Even if you are with a man of God, he's still human. You're still human as a woman of God. You are not exempt from anything I just said, being cheated on, being abused, additionally being abandoned, a man of God could still leave you for another woman or even another man. And I have to say this because, and again, I'm speaking in general. If it's specific to me, I'll go back to saying specific to me. You're not exempt. You're not exempt from separation. You're not exempt from divorce. You're not exempt from abuse. You're not exempt from narcissism. You're not exempt from anything. God has all types of children. That's why I said to be more specific with your prayers. Because it is led to believe in the church, in the Black Christian church, in the Holiness Pentecostal church, that these things don't happen. And if they do, that they're very rare. They're actually a lot more common than you and I think. And I'm so tired of living under that lie. It's a lie. You're not exempt from any of that. You should be, but you're not. I'm not. We're not. The church is not. Okay? It's this whole thing in church. Well, oh, I want to marry a preacher. I want to marry a preacher. I want to marry a preacher. Like a preacher is just this special type of man. A preacher is your calling. It has nothing to do with your personal, intimate relationship. That is what you're called to do by God. That is your mandate under God. Now, it does affect your personal relationship, but marrying a preacher does not exempt you from that. Somebody cheating on you, having a child outside your marriage, doing that in the church does not exempt you from that. We have to start being honest with men and women of God. Now, personally and generally, I feel as if though the men in the church, some, not all, some of the men in the church and in the body of Christ take advantage of our traditions because they know we're taught to be loyal. We're taught to be submissive. We're taught to keep ourselves until marriage. And all of those are good traditions, but it has to be under the right circumstances. And even under the right circumstances, I ain't even doing no makeup. I'm still talking. Even under the right circumstances, you could still be subject to everything I just named. Being lied on, being cheated on, being used as a cover-up, speaking in general. And everything else that everyone else in the world is subject to. Now, even with everything I name, God can heal you from all of that. Your marriage can be saved through all of that. But why have to be saved from it if you can just evaluate better, be more realistic about what marriage is really like? And no, marrying a man of God doesn't exempt you from anything that anybody else in the world goes through in their marriage. Marrying a man of God does not exempt you from anything. The difference is, eventually, if you're his, if you are truly called, if you are truly chosen, you will come back and make that thing right. And if you're mature enough and you've grown far enough and you've submitted yourself enough to God, then you really can live a marriage without all of those things. But they can happen. They can happen. This idea also that I want to debunk, and in general, not just in the church, but again, that's the only marriage I've been in, and I was raised in the church and I'm still in the church, is that not all, okay, you want a provider, you want a man to take care of everything, right? And you want him to take care of you and your kids, and being a stay-at-home wife is nice for some people if they want that. But the idea of being a stay-at-home wife just don't work for everybody. Not only because of finances, but also just because of personality. I don't want to talk about me yet. Let's stay to general. I'll get to me specifically maybe somewhere in this video, or I'm definitely going to have to do a part 2. But not all men are being a provider and taking care of you and paying all the bills because they think that you're pretty, you're worth it, you're a woman of God, they also want to submit back to you. They're doing it for control. Because when they're ready, if and when they're ready to pack up and leave, they could just take their money and move on to another woman, another family, or just go be alone. And it ain't nothing you can do about it because you don't have no money, so you don't have no authority, and you don't have no power. Keep your credit good. Keep your savings good. Keep an account with just your name on it, as well as a joint account with your spouse, whether you're a man or woman. Never give anyone the total control over your life, because when they're ready to pull the rug from up under your feet, they can do it at any time because they have the money and they have the control. Still get your education. Now, one thing I can say about my church and the churches that I grew up under specifically, they did teach us to get your education and build your credit and all of that. So that's not the church in general. I know in my church, we had credit repair classes. We had women's classes. We had classes about getting your house. Because in that church, we got nurses. We got tax people. We got accountants. We got my church that I was raised in Sacramento. We got a whole bunch of stuff in the church. Like everything you need, you could think of. Somebody in the church, that's their profession. So that part they did teach us. But now back to the body of Christ at large. That idea of just being a stay-at-home wife, you can be a stay-at-home wife, but it doesn't mean you don't have your own money, your own bank account, some source of income. And if you're not going to work, then your spouse needs to pay you a salary or give you some type of money that you can be put into your own savings account. So if and when they decide they want to skedaddle because they ask you to be a stay-at-home spouse, you have the money and the means and the credit and the mental capacity to do so. Let's start doing some makeup. I went over to Sephora and I got this Patrick Star, or Spy Patrick Star, this One Size Beauty Ultra Pink Powder. So this is, y'all need to see the packaging. All Patrick Star's packaging look the same. So look, this is what it looks like. You can see the pink powder in there. I have the other two shades and I love them and I still use them. I have a dedicated video on that. I will link it. But here's what the pink powder looks like. So this is going to be the star of the show today. All the other makeup products, I'll probably do an edit and pop them up on the screen if I have time. But all of the other makeup products, I will go ahead and either pop them up on the screen, or it's the same stuff I always use, so you should recognize it. Let's get into doing some makeup while we talk. I feel like I've made my key points already, but let me know if y'all want this to be a series, because the other thing is, I mentioned it, but I want to go into deeper. Saving yourself into marriage. This also does not guarantee you that also doesn't guarantee you that the sex is going to be good. It doesn't guarantee you that you're going to get it regularly. I come to find out from the grapevine in the church that these men sometimes even get mad that you tight. And it's like, what? I thought that every man wanted somebody pure, somebody tight, somebody clean, and they don't. Men are men is my point. Men are men. Man of God, sinner, and saints alike. Men are men. We as women have to get out of that fantasy. Yes, I am a believer. Yes, I want a man of God, but men are men. You have no idea the personal experiences that I've gone through with men in the church, even before I got married. And just hearing from the grapevine through other sisters. And here's the other thing. Why don't the saints just stop lying? Because a lot of the stuff that I'm finding out now that I'm going through a divorce from the saints, I wish I would have known so I could make a more informed decision about marriage. I wish I would have known that y'all got cheated on too. I wish I would have known That was a good one. That was a deep one. I had to take a breath. I wish I would have known that some of y'all husbands had a baby with somebody else in the church. Now that is embarrassing. Now that is a lot. And that's not something that you necessarily want to share with everyone. But why? I'm also using my one size turn up the bass in Deep 2. I have a dedicated video to that as well. I'll also link that. And the concealer I use is Juvia's Place in 12. Dang, now trying to talk about the makeup and this stuff is kind of hard. But this is much darker than my shade, than my face, but I use the concealer to lighten it up. So don't worry about how dark it is. If you know how to do makeup, you can kind of edit your foundation to match your skin tone. But yeah, it's just like, I wish I had have known. And I want us as believers and as people who've been married for a long time to start telling us young ladies what it's really like being married. The tests and trials that you go through. And not that's just, just the fact that I'm a woman of God and he's a man of God is not enough to just be like, you love Jesus and I love Jesus. Let's get married. No. That's just basic. That's just foundational. That is not the end all be all. Now, speaking to me specifically, I don't have a lot of dating experience. I sure as heck don't have a lot of sexual experience. So part of my lack of experience and me just being naive contributes to my situation on top of what I learned in church and that not really being the entire reality. Now, I'm not bashing the church. I'm just shedding light on where we can improve as believers and as the body of Christ. And if I can save somebody from divorce, if I can help somebody make a more informed decision about getting married and introduce you to the more realistic approach to marriage in the church, that's my purpose of this video. It is not to bash the church, which I am very much still a part of, the Holiness Pentecostal Church, and proud of it, even with our flaws. So don't take it that way. But I wish I had known. I wish I could have made a more informed decision. I wish I knew that men of God is not just this special type of men that's a cut above and don't do the stuff that the men that the world do. Should be, but that's not reality. Stop lying. I'm mad. I'm triggered. I am all of the above, okay? So, that was my point. I feel like I made it. And let me repeat. Men are men. Marrying a man of God doesn't exempt you from anything, from going through anything such as divorce, abuse, abandonment, cheating, somebody having a baby on you as a result of that cheating outside of your marriage that you still going to have to be involved with if you choose to stay. Marrying a man of God, getting married in the church does not exempt you from that. And yes, there are some wolves in sheep's clothing in the church. However, you can't say somebody's not a real man of God because, or a real woman of God because they don't fit into your standard of they ain't lying, they ain't smoking, they ain't cussing. That ain't realistic either. God has got all type of children. But if you can figure out more of those things before you get married, because now you've been introduced to the actual reality of what marriage is like, even in the church, even if married to a man or a woman of God, then you can make a more informed decision. And you don't live in this fantasy, because as women, we live in enough fantasies as it is. Marriage is a very serious thing. It's so much more than the wedding ring and the wedding dress and the guests and the bridesmaids. That's only for a day. You have to spend the rest of your life with this person if they want to stay. When I personally took vows, I meant every word of it. I never in a million years thought I would be getting a divorce. And even though we'll never be together again, and I don't want him back, I'm missing my concealer. A concealer. And I don't want him back. I still don't want to be getting a divorce. I still love him. I will always love him. But I don't want to. But I also don't have any regrets in my particular marriage because I walked away with clean hands and a clear conscience. And I did everything that I was supposed to do. And I did everything in my power that I did to save my marriage. It just didn't end with us staying together. And I'm not going to put that blame on either one of us. I'm just going to say I can only speak for myself. And I know that I did what I was supposed to do within my marriage to make it work. And even when things were starting to go south, I still submitted. I still listened. I was still humble. I still tried. So I'm happier now. And I'm at peace because I walked away with clean hands, a clear conscience, and I did try, and I personally gave it everything that I got. It is not anyone's business why I'm getting a divorce. It's not anyone's reason who filed papers or who did this or who did that specifically. I will tell you specific things as it pertains to me, but he has his own story to tell and his own journey. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be totally different than my opinion and my version of it. However, I will say, I walked away with clean hands and a clear conscience, and I did everything that I was supposed to do. As for him, he can share that or not share it. But if you're looking for me to bash my ex, I will never do that. That is the father of my child, and that is my first love, and I pretty much had all my firsts with him. So even though it didn't work out, I wish him no harm. So yeah, men are men. Men are men. Like, comment, subscribe for part 2. Because this is what marriage is really like. And the saints don't tell you. So as a believer, as a saint, saved by grace, repenting from sin daily, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to go ahead and do my face, and I'm going to come back when it's time to put the powder on. So let me do the rest of this. Y'all done seen all this. So I finished most of my makeup. So now we are going to go ahead and put on our One Size Beauty Ultra Pink Powder. I'm so excited. Like, I have been wanting to try this. It just restocked. I didn't get it during the first launch, but it's still new. And I know most of you guys come to my channel for this. But if you can't tell, we're going to be talking a lot more about relationships and dating and marriage. I don't really want to highlight divorce because it's such a negative thing. So will probably be the only video you hear me say the D word in. Unless you guys want to see another part, which I kind of feel like y'all going to. So I'll have my thoughts loaded and ready to go for that. Oh, this is a lot more thickly milled than the other powder. It looks a little more grainy to me than the other two powders. But we're going to see how it applies. I do have a One Size Beauty powder puff, but any puff will do. Actually, let me get a clean puff so we can get like a true. So here's my One Size Beauty puff. This one is thick. I prefer the thinner one, but let's use their puff with their powder. Okay. Always blow off the excess. And I know like y'all want to see how this looks on dark skin and how it sets down. So this is it. It's not going on pink, that's for sure. It looks translucent. It is because it is a translucent powder. You can see it pink a little bit. But once I start to blend it, then you can really see. I let that concealer sit a little bit too long because I was just talking. This is a very touchy subject for me, especially since I'm going through a divorce/breakup, and I'm passionate about what I'm talking about because the whole point of my channel is to build women and young girls up and kind of get us out of that fantasy and that reality, but still even enjoy living in the reality, because we live in fantasy as women because it's peace there, it's bliss there, but we have got to come into reality as well, because reality can be fun too, and it's really where you should live, because you're gonna mess up your own life, in your own marriage, in your own relationships, living in fantasy. And I really had a guy friend in mind that I wanted him to kind of talk about this with me, but he's not really ready to be on camera, because I want you guys to have the male perspective too, especially a man that grew up in church. But I can only speak to my experience and to my sisters in the body of Christ around me, and we have all experienced very similar things. And it's just like we were led to believe that marrying a man of God exempts you from certain things. And I'm here to tell you that it does not. It depends on the person. God has got all type of children. I can't say that enough. He has all types of children. And God created all of us with a free will. So we could be living right for 30, 40, 50 plus years. And one day we still got to choose to be and do right every day. That does not exempt you. You're not exempt from anything that anybody else goes through in marriage, because you're human and you're living in the flesh, and this flesh is tricky. Like my pastor back in Sacramento would say, So it's just, yeah, you don't put your confidence in no flesh. And like I said, I'm not in any way trying to bash the church or the Christian church or the body of Christ at large. I just want us to stop lying. But my goal is to help, okay? I am building women on this channel. I want all girls to know that they're pretty, especially girls that look like me with dark skin, and 4C natural hair, because we've always been told that that's not cute, that our hair is nappy, unkept, that we need to comb our hair. So my channel is to build women, to let all girls know that we're all pretty. We all have something to offer. Carry yourself like a lady. Be classy. And one last thing. It don't matter how fine you are. Everybody get cheated on. Beyonce and Halle Berry and Rihanna been cheated on too. And they're beautiful women, okay? And whoever else you could think of that's really pretty, in and out of the church, they've probably been cheated on and going through a breakup or a divorce or such. Like this powder. Do y'all see the flawless, the softness, you know what? I'm going to go a step farther, and I'm going to take a little bit and dust it over the rest of my face, because I'm hot and sweating, and also because my skincare products are very oily, and I want this makeup to last. So I'm just going to dust it. I need a more fluffy brush. Do this with a fluffy brush, not with a dense brush. But I'm going to dust it over the rest of my... Y'all, this powder, baby. This powder, baby. All right. Yeah. And if I don't like something, I take it back. I'm keeping this, baby. I am keeping this. I'm keeping it. I love it. It looks so good. Do y'all need a closer look? Do you see the blurring, smooth, mattifying finish? Yes, Patrick Starr does it every time. Only thing I tried from him that I didn't like was those big old drag queen lashes. But I don't really wear lashes anyway, so I don't even know what I was thinking. They're cute for somebody who likes that style, but it's not really anything from Patrick Starr / One Size Beauty that I don't like. And the drag queen lashes are cute. They just not my style. I got to get really close to the mirror to put on mascara. And I actually like to use two. This is the L'Oreal Telescopic in Carbon Black. And I like to also use Fenty Hella Thick, which I'm out of. I need to buy some more. And the Melt Cosmetics I don't know if it's a specific line, but it's the one in the red packaging. They may only have one, mascara and milk. That's the one I usually mix with. Because this is lifting and it gets every single lash. And then I feel like the Milk Cosmetic ones gives more volume and makes it look fuller. You can use them separately or together. I prefer to use them together. And for contour, I use my Morphe palette in 8R for contour and highlight. And for blush, I use my Jaclyn Cosmetics Hot Lava and Cocoa Rich Duo palette. I think I have a video on this too. I'll try to remember to link all the dedicated videos since you guys got more talking than makeup today. But I really just, excuse my roomies in the background if you could hear that. I really just wanted to share this piece of information with you guys because I want y'all to get married. I want y'all to make an informed decision. And I will tell you, I'll be 100% honest, 100% transparent, as long as the questions you're asking me is not incriminating my ex. Because like I said, that is the father of my child. And he's been on this channel. I have videos with him. I've archived most of the ones with him, but I do have one up with him. And then, you know, we have a child to raise together. My son is only 2. And as much as I don't want him, I still love him and I can't change that. Yeah. I love him. I'm always going to love him. I told him that. And I told him he can't do nothing about it. So we ain't going to be together, but I'm going to love you and you're going to deal with it. Okay? Because we got a whole child together. We're going to have to be friends or something. You know what I'm saying? All right. Let's go unwrap our hair and take this edge scarf off. And I will be back to give y'all the finished look in my outro. But this Patrick Star, let me give y'all the proper name. Ultimate Setting Powder in Ultra Pink. Go copy one and copy your travel size. The big one that I have is $34 and the small one is $18, okay? But go over to Sephora and copy you. Okay, let me just get closer. If it will focus, do y'all see this? Do y'all see the greatness? And I blurred it over the rest of my skin. Like, it'll mess up my contour, my highlight, my blush, my nothing. This powder, I'm going to give it gold status.